Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. It is Snapshot 19w03a and you may be interested in a new block that's been added that's probably featured in the title and on the thumbnail. We will get to that real soon. That is the main feature of this snapshot. As well as that, there are some new sounds and some changes to the campfire. So we're going to be checking out those things first. The game sound has been turned up for your listening pleasure. There will be some silence from me here. So normal block placing and breaking sound for the barrel, but when we open and close it, and that is the exact same sound sample each time, so no variation there. Then we have the grindstone. That's not a new sound, but when you use it, this is where you'll hear the new sound. So we can combine broken tools together, and we can remove enchantments. And I've done this quite a few times already, and I don't think there is a difference between the enchantments and the repairs. We then have sweet berries. This isn't particularly pleasant. A very scratchy sound effect, if you ask me, with a couple of variations. Doesn't sound that pleasant. We do have a new sound for placing down nether wart, though. And breaking it, very squidgy. Similar, but not quite the same. We now have sounds for planting crops. And as you can hear, it's the same sound effect for each type of crop. The blast furnace now has its own sound. It's not for when you place or break the block or put something in or take it out. It's like a low ambient sound that you'll hear every now and then. And it's the same deal for the smoker. This will make the sound of a gentle fire every now and then. The other block was a little bit more of a crackling sound. This one's definitely softer. So with the boring stuff out of the way, we have some changes to the campfire. Look at this gorgeous icon for the campfire right there. I think that looks wonderful, and the model has been reworked as well as the texture for it. And look at that new model. This looks fantastic in game. When I first saw this on Twitter, I thought it looked a little bit too modded, but I really like the way that the logs wrap around and hide the edges of the fire. It looks really good, and there is the underside texture for you. We're also going to mess around with this quickly and just use the old debug stick. This is what it looks like when it's unlit. And we can waterlog this as well, which looks very peculiar, of course. Anyway, I just wanted to mess around with that and check out what it looked like. Here's something I couldn't figure out in my last snapshot video, okay? All you have to do is right click on this thing with some raw food and you can place down 4 pieces of raw food and they will take 30 seconds to cook. And then when they've cooked, they will simply pop off as cooked food. So you can now cook food using campfires and not having to use any fuel at all, which I actually think is quite powerful. Also, when you break the block, those items are going to pop off. And what happens when a frozen winter yeti dies to a campfire? Asuma went up in flames. So that will be the death message for dying on a campfire. I really think they should come up with a better death message than that. If you've got any ideas for a death message when you're on top of a campfire, let me know with a comment down below. Maybe we can get something really cool over to the guys at Mojang and have something custom for this type of death. So it's time to get to the composter block. Here it is in the middle of a field of crops. This was thanks to a little bit of an experiment that I was doing, and then I had a eureka moment, which I'll get to in a moment. We'll actually come back to this testing as well. Behind me you can see I've been doing a little something over here. First of all, let's learn how to craft this block by going into the crafting screen and checking out the recipe. It is planks across the bottom, fences on the sides. Pretty easy to remember, and its texture on the underside is probably something you could work with for building, but its texture on the front side right here looking great. You could definitely make use of this in a build. I really do like this block, and I've been experimenting with the different types of food that you can put inside this and turn into compost. As you can see, it will accept 10 different types. I've experimented with all of them. I've also found out that it treats different types of food differently, so they must have some sort of hidden value. Every time I click on this with cake, we go up a level of compost. There are 8 levels in total. On the right hand side of the screen you can see the composting level. If we go up to 7, sometimes it ticks up to 8 by itself, as you saw it do right there. Now let's pay attention to the amount of times I'm clicking. 1, 2, do you see it didn't go up a level? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's something that it does with these mid-tier ones, like there you go, second click on the apple, third click and it didn't go up a level. So this one is obviously not as good, but then there are ones like melon and dried kelp which are almost useless. Look at how many times I have to click for it to go up a level. The dried kelp can be even worse. So this has some sort of hidden value. So now we want to look and see if this thing interacts with a hopper. I have tried putting items in from the side, no such luck. If we put in melon slices from the top, you can see it fills up the composter, and then something is going to happen. Let's actually give this thing a little bit of a boost, bring it up to the top there, and you see how it disappeared? That's because it created bone meal. Now, by some sort of unfortunate miracle, every time this thing got to level 8, I assumed that was the maximum, and I never right-clicked on it again, even though I'd been sitting here spamming away with dried kelp. I should have noticed it sooner that when you right-click, you get given a piece of bone meal. So this is a way to convert some of your crops into bone meal. So the composting thing as a block doesn't actually do anything to your crops, and based on the website's image for the snapshot, I assumed that that's what this did, so I started out with these experiments over here. This actually turns out to be pretty interesting. So at the moment the game is paused, the random tick speed has been turned off. Okay, we're going to set this thing to 600, which will play the game at about 200 times the normal speed. The one on the left has no composting barrel, the one on the right does, and what you'll see is that it's pretty much the same. It doesn't really have an effect, and I was expecting it to increase the growth of the crops around it, and it did no such thing. And I feel like a complete wally, so if you feel like calling someone a wally today, you better head down to the comments and call me one, because geez, I got this one completely wrong. Thanks to reading the Reddit, I've learned that there are actually a whole bunch more items that you can put into the composter, and you'll see some flowers at the top here. This includes every type of flower and double tool flower, and everything else that you see here can be recycled into bone meal through this composter. There are some other blocks as well. The hay bale block can do this, the mushroom stem can, but the other types of mushrooms don't, which is peculiar. And I was about to comment on how I thought this wasn't so great, the amount of bone meal that you get for the crops that you put in, but now if you think about the amount of junk that you accumulate or times you pick up these sorts of items, you have a place that you could send them to where you could then create bone meal. And this is a way, or another way, to have a bone meal farm that doesn't rely on mobs and entities in the world as well. So this I actually think is a pretty decent addition. Maybe the value of some of these things though should be tweaked, as this takes quite a lot to fill up. And there is just one thing else that I wanted to mention that I missed in the last snapshot video we did. When you turn the pages of a lectern, it will create a redstone pulse. Just check it out there to the left hand side of the book. That's something that I missed. So you can use this with a comparator to get a signal strength, or just a pulse when you turn the page. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of this snapshot video. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like. It supports the channel, so thank you as always for doing that. And if you're interested in the game Hytale, which you might have heard about, considering that it's potentially going to be a natural successor to Minecraft, then I have made a video summarizing all of the news and information from their website that's been released. It is on my second channel. There'll be a link to it on the screen, so go click that if you are interested in learning more about the Hytale game, and I will probably see you next week with another snapshot video, so make sure you're subscribed over here as well. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you. Bye bye.